Chapter 10. The alley explodes. Not with fire, not with sound, just with red. Everything turns the color of fresh blood and cheap neon at once. The rain vanishes. The stone under my feet vanishes. Martha's grip is the only solid thing left. Like she's the nail and I'm the paper pinned to the wall. For a heartbeat I feel two worlds at the same time. Cold wet stone behind me and warm air in front of me. Chains coming down and carpet under my shoes. Louis's voice in my ear and the hum of something electrical somewhere nearby. The red light tears straight through all of it. Then the bottom drops out. We fall, but not the way we usually do through corridors. There's no long tunnel, no doors, no stretching of space. It's more like somebody picks us up and slams us down on a different layer of reality. The world snaps, once, like a cable under too much weight. We hit the floor. Hard. My shoulder smashes into something soft over something wooden. Martha lands half on top of me, which does not make things better. My head cracks against a table leg. For a second I see nothing but white sparks. Then the sparks fade, and the world comes back in stupid, ordinary pieces. The carpet under my cheek is familiar. Old, slightly scratchy, with a coffee stain near the edge where I dumped a mug last year and never admitted it. There's a low rumble of the fridge in the next room, the faint buzz of a cheap TV on standby, the glow of numbers from the digital clock on the shelf. 6:37. My living room. I lay there for a moment, staring at my own coffee table from underneath it, trying to connect that with Louis's sword and Royal Guard chains and Martha's mouth on mine. My brain refuses. Something moves against my ribs. Martha groans and pushes herself up on her hands and knees. Her hair falls into my face, wet and cold, and she swears softly in French into the carpet. Where? She starts, then stops because she sees it too. The sofa, the cheap curtains, the ugly lamp in the corner I keep meaning to replace, the narrow window with the same view of the same boring street, now slick with rain and lined with parked cars instead of horses. We are home, and by home I mean the place that used to be my entire universe and now looks like a set somebody forgot to take down. Martha is on her feet before I am. 1 second she's on her knees, the next she's a blur at the window, then at the doorway, then back again, moving faster than my eyes can track. She's dripping on the carpet. Her cloak leaves a trail of dirty water. Her eyes are wide and bright, pupils blown, taking in every detail like she's cataloging threats. I push myself upright, grab the edge of the table, and hang on until the room stops wobbling. My heart is still in that alley. My stomach is still halfway through the jump. My brain is trying and failing to accept that the biggest danger in this space right now is the pile of unwashed dishes in the sink. Max, Martha says slowly, as if the word is suddenly new and fragile. What is this? My flat, I say. My voice sounds distant, like it's coming from someone in the next room. My home. On Earth. She turns full circle, taking in the shelves, the tiny kitchen corner, the TV, the radiator. Her mouth opens and closes a couple of times. C'est hideous, she pronounces finally, but in a comfortable way. That's kind of the slogan of this building, I mutter. She pats closer to the TV, with her bare feet squelching faintly on the carpet. She taps the dark screen with one claw, waits, then startles when the glass stays dead. It is like a window that forgot how to be a window, she says. Does it do nothing? It does things, I say, just not when it's off. She makes a doubtful noise and moves on. The radiator gets a suspicious poke. The shelves get a longer look. She pulls a book out at random, flips it open, squints at the tiny print and stuffs it back like it offended her personally. I just stand there, in the middle of the room, draping on my own floor, watching a vampire inspect my IKEA furniture and trying not to start laughing. My head hurts, my chest hurts, my mouth still remembers her kiss more clearly than the teleport. It worked, I say, mostly to myself. The button actually worked! Yes, bravo, she says without looking up. You have pressed a circle with your thumb. Truly, your magical potential is incroyable. She pulls open the fridge door. Light spills out over her face. Cold air hits the room with a little sigh. She flinches, then leans in, letting the chill roll over her skin like she's testing it. We have food that does not rot for weeks, light trapped in a box and water in pipes, and this is what surprises you? I say. She grabs a carton of milk, sniffs it, makes a face, and shoves it back. Your world is aggressively ugly, she says, and aggressively convenient. Yeah, I say, because I don't have the energy to defend the aesthetic of discount appliances. I rub my face with both hands. My palms smell like wet stone and iron and something sour from the alley. When I drop them, Martha is watching me from in front of the fridge, with its door still open, light haloing her. Your parents? She asks. At work, I say. They usually come back late, not tonight. I check the clock again, as if I might have changed its mind. We have a few hours. She nods once, then closes the fridge slowly, as if she's solved one piece of a puzzle and is waiting for the next. Bon, she says. Then we fix you before they see you. I look down at myself. I'm soaked head to toe, mud on my trousers, someone's blood, probably mine, smudged on my sleeve. My shirt is ripped where her claws went through. There is a set of very clear, very vampire-sized handprints on my chest. Yeah, I say. That would be hard to explain. Très hard, she agrees. Do you at least have somewhere to wash the night of me? You mean a bathroom? Yes, Max, I have heard of them, she says. I'm not a cave bat. Show me. I shuffle down the short hallway to the bathroom and flick on the light. The harsh yellow glow makes everything look worse. Peeling paint near the ceiling, smudges on the mirror, the cheap white tiles I have been staring at since I was 10. This is it, I say, gesturing at the sink, toilet, shower. Temple of cleanliness, such as it is. Martha steps in, with her eyes narrowing. She points at the shower. This bit of metal on the wall, water comes out. Yeah, you turn this, it does cold. This, hot. Don't mix them too fast or the pipes scream and the water turns into lava for exactly 4 seconds. She gives me a look. Why would you build it like that? Because the people who designed it hated everyone, I say. Welcome to Earth Engineering. Your world is sick, she says, but there's a small grin there now. She reaches for the taps, then pauses and glances at me. You will not stand here and stare while I undress, huh? I choke. No, I mean, obviously not. I'll be in the kitchen, or on the moon, somewhere far away. Good, she says, because if you try, I will throw you out of the window. With or without opening the window first. We will see, she says sweetly and shuts the door right into my face. The water starts a second later, a rough rush that's smooth as she fiddles with the taps. I stand there in the narrow hallway for a few seconds, staring at the closed door, feeling like the last half an hour has been a fever dream I had during a very boring maths class. Then I drag myself back to the living room, peel off my cloak, and dump it in a guilty heap by the door. I kick off my shoes and socks, leave a trail of wet footprints to my bedroom, and grab clean clothes with hands that don't quite seem attached to me. By the time I've changed into dry sweatpants and a hoodie, the flood in my chest has settled into something like exhaustion. The adrenaline from the alley is burning out, leaving that hollow, heavy feeling behind. The shower keeps running. Water hitting tiles is the loudest sound in the flat. My hand finds my pocket automatically. The device is still there, heavy and warm, like a stone that's been in the sun for too long. When I pull it out, my fingers leave wet marks on the casing. It looks worse than before. The metal is cracked in one corner, the red button's glow is faint, like a dying ember. Ah, you idiot, I tell it softly. I'm not sure if I mean the device, myself, or Sasha. Probably all three. The water stops. There's a short silence. Then the bathroom door opens and a small cloud of steam rolls down the hall. Martha steps out in one of my t-shirts and a pair of sweatpants, both slightly too big on her in strange places and too tight in others. The shirt is hanging off one shoulder. Her hair is a dark, damp tangle down her back. Without the cloak, dress, and dried blood, she looks surprisingly younger, more dangerous somehow, in the way a knife looks more honest than a sword. Ah, your shower is a miracle, she announces, and a crime. It is very confusing. You sound like a building inspector, I say. Do they have hot water in Darkwood? We have baths, she says. Real ones. With space. And sometimes blood of virgins. Very nice, I say. I will put that on the list of cultural differences. She pads into the kitchen, peering into cupboards without asking. I trail after her like a confused pet. Do you have any food? She asks. Well, depends on your definition. I open the fridge again and start pulling out what's there. Eggs, a pack of bacon that is somehow not yet walking by itself, half a tomato, the remains of cheese. Martha leans against the counter, watching me with her arms folded. Her eyes track every movement. Pan on the hob, oil, bacon hitting metal with a sizzle. The smell fills the flat in seconds. Cozy, greasy, and normal. Normal feels surreal. The sound of something frying on a pan after nearly being chained in a medieval alley makes my brain want to reboot. Do you cook? She asks. Big word, I say. I heat things up until they're less dangerous, that's about it. It is more than some nobles I know, she says. I crack eggs into the pan. The yolks bloom yellow in the white. My hands remember the rhythm even while my head keeps drifting. Alley, chains, Martha's mouth, red light, coffee table. So, she says after a while, casual, too casual. What did you press exactly? I flick a glance at her. She's looking at the pan, not at me, but her shoulders are tense again. I nod towards the device on the counter. Emergency beacon, I say. From Sasha. You heard it earlier. Yes, she says slowly. I also remember saying that using it was like sending her a letter with your return address on it. I didn't have a lot of options, I say. The eggs bubble. I poke them a little harder than necessary. It was that or let Louis hang us up like coats. I know, she says. Her voice softens a fraction. I am not angry you used it. I am checking the bill later. The bill? Magic is not free, she says simply, even when it's packaged in little toys by red-headed monsters. I snort, despite myself. You really hate each other, huh? Yes, she says. And no, and yes. She flicks her fingers like she's shooing away a fly. It is complicated. That seems to be the theme lately, I say. I slide bacon and eggs onto two plates, toss a couple of slices of bread in the toaster, and carry everything to the tiny table by the window. Martha sits opposite me, with her elbows on the table, eyes on the food with active suspicion. It will not bite you, I say. Probably. That is my job, she says. But she picks up a fork. She prods the egg, tastes a bit of bacon, then raises her eyebrows. Not bad, she admits, for something that used to squeal. High praise, I say. For a few minutes we just eat. Rain is tapping on the window. Cars hiss past below. Somewhere on the floor above us, someone drops something heavy and swears. It is the soundtrack of my normal life. It doesn't fit anymore. You know, this cannot last, Martha says finally when the plates are mostly empty. I guess, I say. We can't just, keep you in the closet until my parents go to work and then bring you out for breakfast? Che idea, she says dryly. No, I am not a coat. I know. I lean back in my chair and stare at the ceiling. It looks lower tonight. I needed a second where no one was trying to kill us. She studies me for a moment, then nods. You were allowed 1 second, she says. Maybe even two. Generous, I say. Her mouth twitches. Then she sobers. Max, she says. Yeah? When you used the button, she says slowly, you did not know it would bring me with you. I hesitate. I hoped, I say. I mean, we were glued together and I was sort of thinking, out of here, not out of here alone, but no, I did not, no. She tilts her head. So you gambled. I thought I'd try it on purpose for once, I say. A small breath of laughter escapes her, quick and surprised. Idiot, she says again, softer this time. We fall quiet. The plates sit between us, smeared with yellow and pink. The room is suddenly too small. You can still fix this, she says at last. I frown. Fix what? You're alive, she says like it's obvious. I'm in here, on this side. She waves a hand to indicate the whole flat, the whole city, the whole stupid planet. You can pretend none of it happened. Again? How? I ask. It comes out sharper than I intend. How do I pretend after that? I move my chin towards the window as if Louis and his knights might be standing in the rain outside my block. You go back to your school, she says. You tell your parents you had a rough week. You see a therapist, you sleep. You let their world wrap around you again like old blankets. And you? I ask. She shrugs, too casually. I leave, she says. I find another corridor. I go back to Darkwood. I continue to annoy Louis from a safe distance. Maybe kill him one day if he is lucky enough. Right, I say. So I go back to pretending and you go back to getting hunted. Great deal. It is not your job to fix my problems, she says sharply. It kind of is, I say, since I keep being one of them. She opens her mouth, closes it, presses her lips together. Her fingers tap a restless rhythm on the table. When she speaks again, her voice is low. You keep getting dragged, she says, into things you did not choose. Darton, White Rock, Almiron, me, Sasha. Her mouth twists on the last name. You are, how do you say, magnet for trouble. Thanks, I say. It is not a compliment, she says, but it is also not completely your fault. So, whose is it? Everyone's, she says simply. Yours for not saying no, ours for not giving you a real choice, the wars, the balances, the stupid broken worlds. She leans forward. Her eyes have lost their amused glow. Now they're just red, clear, and cold. I am trying to give you one now, she says. A real one. You can stay. You can walk me to a corridor, say au revoir, and build a life that does not involve royal guards and vampires and girls with too much magic in their bones. No? And leave you to fight Louis and Sasha and everyone else alone. You think I have not done that before? She snaps. You think I did not live a long, miserable little life before you showed up with your big eyes and your bigger disasters. I know you did, I say. I saw some of it in White Rock, and Sasha shoved the before to my face in the library. She flinches slightly at that, like the memory physically pokes her. So you know I can survive without you, she says. Yeah, I say. That's kind of the problem, she blinks. Quoi? You will survive, I say. That's what you do. You keep going. You turn every terrible thing into a joke until it stops hurting or kills you. And I will, what? Sit here, pretend the corridors aren't going to leak through my ceiling one day, wait for Sasha to get bored and drop a portal in the middle of my kitchen, because I still have her toy in my pocket. I tap the device with one finger. Its dull red light answers like a slow heartbeat. Martha's gaze goes to it. She stares for a moment, then sighs. You are not wrong, she admits. If it brought us here, she can probably sniff the trail sooner or later. So, Earth isn't out of the game, I say. No. She looks around the flat again, less like she's judging the furniture, and more like she's judging its odds of surviving a war. This place is not nothing, but it is not safe. Not in the long term. Not for you and not for them. Them means my parents. The word lands heavier than I want to admit. I picture my mother opening the door to find Sasha standing in the hall with her orange light flickering around her fingers. My father trying to argue with a royal guard in a language they don't know. It makes my stomach twist. So staying here and pretending is basically... I trail off, searching for a word. Waiting, Martha says, for the ceiling to fall. Nice metaphor, I say. It is not a metaphor, she replies. I have lived in a castle, remember? Silence again. The rain has calmed outside. The clock on the shelf advances another minute with a quiet click. And what do you want? I ask finally. She looks mildly offended, like I just asked if she is breathing oxygen. Revenge, she says automatically. On Sasha, on Louis, on many people. She waves a hand. Also, not to die. To drink virgin blood sometimes. To win. To make my father proud, even though he pretends like nothing impresses him. The usual. I meant about me, I say. My voice sounds small. She goes very still. Her eyes flick to my face, searching. The usual smirk doesn't appear. I want you somewhere I can find you, she says quietly, where I do not wake up every day wondering which corridor has eaten you this time. That's a terrible answer, I say. It applies to both worlds. Yes, she says. That is why I hate it. We stare at each other across the table, the empty plates between us being like a little battlefield that has already been fought on and abandoned. Finally, I push my chair back and stand up. My legs feel like they belong to someone else. I'm tired, I say. Good, she says. You should be. You did a lot of running and one very stupid heroic gesture. You kissed me first, I say. Tu te plains? She shoots back. I flush. No, I just never mind. She stands too, slower than me. The movement pulls my t-shirt off her shoulder a bit more, which she doesn't seem to notice. Sleep, she says. Your brain is melting. We can argue about the rest tomorrow. Where will you... I glance around the flat, suddenly aware of how few spare beds we have. She nods towards the sofa. I will take this one. It looks acceptable. It breaks your back if you lie on it wrongly, I say. She snorts. I do not know if you have noticed, Max, but my back is certainly not a normal person's back. Fair point. Go, she says, waving me towards my room. Before your parents come home and find you standing in the kitchen, arguing with a vampire in your pajamas. Right, I say. That mental image is enough to get my feet moving. If you hear keys in the lock, I will hide, she says. Or eat them. I have not decided. There was a joke, right? She smiles, small and sharp. Sleep, Max. I retreat to my room, close the door, lean against it for a second until my heartbeat slows. The flat feels wrong now. Too small for everything that just happened, too thin between worlds. I collapse onto my bed without bothering to turn off the light. The mattress is familiar under my back. The ceiling is the same one I've stared at on countless boring nights, counting cracks and thinking about anything except the life in front of me. If I lay very still, I can hear Martha in the other room moving around, the soft creak of the sofa, a muttered French swear as she tries to arrange the cushions, the faint rustle of the blanket. For most of my life, safe meant this. These walls, these noises, this boring ceiling, homework and noise from upstairs, and the glow of my phone under the blanket. And Martha is sleeping on my sofa, which is the most ridiculous sentence I have ever thought in my head. I turn onto my side, staring at the crack of light under my door. My hand finds the device again, without me asking. Its weight presses into my palm. The red light inside is a tiny, stubborn spark. I could throw it out of the window, drop it in the river, smash it with a hammer, pretend that it would fix things. I don't. I just hold it. For the first time, staying home does not feel like safety. It feels like lying in the middle of the road, hoping the war will politely go around my building, because my address is boring. I close my eyes. Somewhere between the hum of the fridge and the faint sound of Martha turning over the sofa, a thought settles at the back of my mind and refuses to leave. If I keep lying still, I am not avoiding the fall. I am just waiting for it to find me.